Hello, everyone. Fabio here again, together with Ned and Caro. I am the ambassador for gaming and play for the Neurodiversity Foundation, and we're here today again because something amazing just happened. We just had our very first game jam. The game jam ended yesterday, and today we're having a little of an after party, really, to celebrate the games and their creators. Before we jump into that, though, we have Caro live and loud from Neurodiversity Pride Day in Canada, and she's going to tell us a bit more about what neurodiversity pride stands for, what's happening, and what it represents in the context of the foundation, and why it's so important. Carol, thank you for joining us from the field. It's so live and loud happening.
Yeah,
We're all,
thank you, Fabio.
take it
Hi
away.
everyone. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm actually out because we're gonna have our first Canadian flag hosting with the Neurodiversity Pride flag in about 20 minutes. So let's talk about why we have this Neurodiversity Pride Day. So it all started back in 2018 when the founders of the Neurodiversity Foundation. So we heard about Chuck Fitzma at the opening show of the Game Jam, and he told us a little bit about why they wanted to have this Pride Day celebrated across the world. It's just that we know that there has been a lot of awareness work done, especially on autism, in the last decade, and then we see a growing movement of acceptance of autistics and neurodivergent in general, but we're still far from getting a true understanding of what neurodiversity is and what it is not. So I guess to have all the countries like that together in the same week and do some activities. We are 56 countries this year. The number of countries have quadrupled in the last 2 years. So we see that it's going fast, it's growing fast. And to all together to do some activities like the game jams. Tonight there is the World Neuro Dance, so it's 24 hours of music with 8 DJs. So it's going to be pretty cool. We had a research conference. We had like almost 200 activities worldwide throughout the week, and we have still some activities that are planned for the rest of June until the 27th. So there is a calendar online. If you we'll put the link on the Discord anyway, but you can check for what's coming up in other areas of the world. Usually there is some English translation, so there is something you can make sure that you can actually attend those activities or watch the videos after that. The game jam was a success. So we had almost 30 jammers. And I mean, Fabio, you can explain how rushed we were in organizing that. So it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And 9 super cool games that were submitted until yesterday evening. And to me, it was, I'm not a gamer at all. I'm getting too stressed when I'm playing because it's too fast or too overwhelming. But I did try the games yesterday, and like I've made up with the games because of this. Some of the games were so deep into like reflecting on our own positionality towards neurodiversity and how what neurodiversity means to us and to them. So it was incredible. I'm just looking forward to hear about or to see Fabio and Ned play the games and to hear about the stories behind a few of those games. So thank you again. We're gonna do that again for sure next year, and just keep in touch. And we need some help for the organization of the next game jam. So have a great play game event, and I'll see you later. Thank you, Fabio.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you again for joining us from the field. I know you have all sorts of activities planned. We really appreciate it. And it's great to see, not just what's happening today, but also, how people get excited about this, how this movement is growing, how the foundation is growing, and how people, when they realize the foundation exists, want to participate, get excited
You want
about it
to,
because,
yeah.
yeah,
You want
go
a
ahead, go
spoil
ahead.
alert? Little spoil alert. Maybe
Ooh,
next year, like the foundation is working hard on this, and there are already some advanced negotiation and discussions. But maybe next year we're gonna have a flag, neurodiversity pride flag in space, because the
holy.
European Space Agency is interested in having bringing the flag there. So that's just amazing. Yeah.
Holy moly. Okay, that's spoiler for me too. And I don't know, maybe next year we're gonna do this from the European Space Station or something. Who knows? I mean, at this point, why stop dreaming? Let's dream big, right?
Everything is possible.
Thanks, Caro. I've always dreamt of experimenting zero gravity, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna do some training for that and make sure I'm ready for next year. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Okay, I say bye bye. Maybe I'll join later. Have a good play.
Wonderful.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Yeah, on top of what Caro said, in terms of like organizational challenges, what is that? 2 weeks? We we started 2 weeks ago organizing this. It's something that's been really organized out of sheer excitement about obviously gaming, but also telling stories and allowing neurodivergent people to tell their stories. And I think the we got a lot of excited people joining us. I mean, 30 people, considering the level of resources and promotion we did. I think it's amazing. We had 9 submissions, all extremely, very, very, extremely interesting to play. So instead of me telling about how cool this is and how wonderful everything is, Ned, why don't you take it away and start playing some games?
For sure. Just before we jump over, though, I just wanted to comment on something that I don't experience often when doing game jams, and that was all the lovely comments everyone was leaving on each other's submissions. Um, Usually, when I play a game jam, I do a game jam, I get maybe one or two, but everyone has been just so kind to one another the entire time, and we wouldn't be here without you guys. So as much as like thank you guys have been thanking us for running this, thank you for being here, because it wouldn't be anything without you guys as well. It has been a blast. Let's jump over now. Woohoo!
Go for it.
Let me just hide a couple of things. And just because Carol isn't here, I actually have the little logo to put over Carol's spot. um, I just figured instead of having Carol there, we could just have the little logo there. So the first one we're going to be checking out is the Orion Redux. This was a very interesting submission because it's so expansive. I have played through it a little bit and I just keep going. So
Yep.
I'm just gonna start clicking around. There's a binary system here, and there's a whole bunch of star systems, which is just so interesting. And you could just keep going. If I could catch them. You can also see 3D views of each star or planet you come across, which is also just as fascinating. Fabio, do you have anything to comment on for this game in particular? I know you mentioned.
I mean, I wrote it on Discord. For me, this could be like the end of my social life, probably professional life, because I got so, you know, I don't want to say addicted because it's not necessarily a positive word, but like I got extremely compelled by just how this is basically a universe, and this is like No Man's Sky. It's like a Stellaris multiplied by a billion. And I don't know why I was so compelled and go like, okay, one more star system, just one more star system. And I was clicking on the planet and such and see, what's their atmosphere and what's their mass. And I don't know why I got so compelled about understanding, okay, what's the mass of this planet compared to the other ones I've seen? What's the percentage of helium in its atmosphere? I don't know why, but I couldn't stop looking at, these details. Because then if you press K, there's even more stuff that you can get revealed if you click on a planet about their composition. And I don't know why the nerd in me got so attracted to this stuff. There you go. Helium. The mantle is made 82.9% metallic hydrogen. Like it's so fascinating.
That is very cool. I personally do not know a lot about space myself, but like it's interesting how many different components go into each planet and each star. And I'm just fascinated by it, but I personally don't know a lot. So it's been lovely learning and getting to see stuff like the systems and how they move. I'm just blown away personally by it.
There's so many cool things, and there's so much there's so much more time I'd love to spend with this game, and there's so many things this game could become, both from a learning platform perspective or from a like game perspective. And what this game also gives us is an idea of how exterminated is the universe that we live in, because you can also going back to the star view, then you can move around, you can pan around and see that it's basically endless. Just one, if one of these was the sun, well, that will be actually what it is, which is one very remote star system in an absolute sea of stars, for that matter, infinite and infinitely expanding sea of stars. Well, infinitely expanding, that depends on what theory you have about the end of the universe, but then we're going into a different conversation. So sure. I found it extremely, I don't know if that was the maker thought, but I found it as a very good metaphor of the head, well, at least from my head, because there's so much stuff, so many thoughts at any given time, and I never know what to focus on. And then I focus on something, but there's one more thing that I want to focus on, and then I see something else. No, but that thing, I want to focus on that thing. That's exactly what this game manages to reproduce. So for me, it really resonated because of that, and that's why I also love it.
And like for me personally, just in general, like I mean this in a very loving way. This is such a trap for me. I will become endlessly entertained by this. And it's just the whole idea of each star having so much going on inside of it. It just kind of feels like, yeah, that's what it feels like. And you don't know when you're going in from this screen to the next one, what you're going to find in there, in terms of like how many planets, that sort of thing. And I kind of relate to that. I'm just like, sometimes it's just a single planet or two maybe, and other times it's like, oh no, there's so much chaos. Yeah, awesome. And that's Orion Redux. I'm actually going to send the link to the game into the chat as well. I hope y'all enjoy it and check it out. Fabio, how do you feel about moving on to the next game?
Sure, let's do it.
Awesome. The rest of the games will be hosted on their web pages. So we are going to next check out NDFPS. Before we jump into the game, there are some control schemes here. So for the start screen, there's the click play button. It locks the mouse cursor as soon as I hit play, and then it's WASD and mouse to look around. Alrighty, I'm gonna run the game. I'm gonna hit start game. And one thing that immediately captured my attention when playing this, I checked it out the other night, was just the aesthetics of this game.
There's an Italian painter called De Chirico, which, if you are into art, I recommend. It's a surrealist, and it has that kind of aesthetic. So I find it extremely fascinating as well, because being able to get to this level of aesthetics and our sensitivity in such a short time, it's fantastic.
For sure. Like I keep trying to jump on this wall whenever I'm around, because I keep going, maybe when it's down here I can get on top of it, but no dice. And I find just the stylization of this text really, really cool. I personally have a bit of trouble reading it, but I do catch some words there, like liminal, chaos, spectral, that sort of thing, and I think that's very fascinating itself. It keeps going. It's so cool.
It also somewhat gives me, a cyberpunk level of inner peace. I don't know. I'm a fan of sort of 80s cyberpunk vibes, and this satisfies that vibe in a beautiful, beautiful way. Mm-hmm. And I found just joyful to just walk around and enjoy the music, enjoy the atmosphere.
For sure. I know over here. Whee! I did get all the way up onto here before, just because I love platforming. I'm always going to try to platform everywhere. And I just found the effect of the text from far away to be just as interesting with the multicolored, the greens, the pinks, the blues. I think the effect and difference between far away and near with the text is also so cool. And then as a final thing, it wouldn't be me trying out stuff if I didn't try to get in weird places, such as underneath this area. You can kind of sneak under here like you're looking for shelter. And last but not least, you can jump off the map. And I think it's so cool to see it from
Holy
this
shit.
perspective too. It is an endless fall, so eventually it does fade into nothing. Which I think is interesting in general. But you can still see the horizon if you look around.
I didn't fall into the abyss. Interesting. You explore that a lot.
I love
like that.
I love falling into the abyss. Which is a weird sentence
All
to
right.
say. And then if you look behind where we spawned in, you would actually see the inside here where there's a wall, and you could get between the wall and text here, which I find really interesting too. Because you can get really up close with the text. But yeah, that's what I found in this game, NDFPS. Any thoughts, Fabio?
I will just add that as a fellow platformer fan, I tried many times to jump from the top of the red platform at the top on that waving screen. I don't know how to call that.
This
On
item
that
here?
thing, yes.
I did too.
Because I was sure there was like an invisible platform or something, and then I had to jump on there, and then on the 3 balls, and then on the other very thin wall. That's what my
I struggled a lot with trying to do that. I did not end up doing it, unfortunately. But
Yes,
if someone
me neither.
does do that, please let us know. That'd be so cool. Alrighty. And that is NDFPS. Thank you, Hex is. Thank you for joining us. That was so cool.
Thank you.
Put the link again into the chat. Alrighty. Next I have is You Are Not Human. Or You Are No Human. I played this a few times already in my free time because, wow, is it intense. It's where you try to solve a simple CAPTCHA. Hi, Brave Kenny. Yes, I love the vibe too. This will be interesting. I'm not going to spoil too much about it. With stress, simple tasks, and deadlines, You Are No Human tries to represent the experience of a person with ADD and social anxiety, from who doing day-to-day tasks comes hell due to distractions and emerging thoughts. Solve 10 CAPTCHAs as more and more pop-up ads take over your screen. Close them to buy some time, or they will kill you. Very, very to the point. I'm going to just start the game up. There we go. So I've only played this on normal mode. I don't know if you've checked out hard mode or hardcore mode, but I'm a bit of I don't want to say a wuss when it comes to games, but I definitely am a normal mode player.
I didn't dare, to be honest. So I also stuck to normal mode because I was like, okay, if this is normal mode, I don't know what happens if I open hard or hardcore. So
Alrighty, so I'm just gonna jump straight into normal mode. Solve a simple CAPTCHA to play the game. I'm human. Pictures of blue
simple,
sky.
right?
Yeah. And then we have the first instance of a pop-up ad coming up, and a virus I have to throw in the trash. And meanwhile, I'm still trying to look for trees. I don't see any trees. Maybe in the background of that bus? And this bus. There we go.
Yeah, I fell into the same trap. And I was like, what?
One that comes up sometimes is select pictures of living beings. That one's interesting for me.
Yeah.
Select the picture of the bus. Luckily, that one's pretty easy. People. The living being ones, you have to also consider trees as living because a lot of people forget that. Honestly, I'm doing the best I've ever done with this game. Maybe it's because I'm actually having to show it off.
Yeah, that's impressive, actually. Maybe you should try the hard one after this.
Maybe. I'd be willing to.
Because I think that's one thing that hasn't happened yet, which I guess you know what I refer to, that it's quite powerful and it's worth showcasing.
So I did manage to beat the game. It seems like it had a Unity error when I did beat it, because I got all 10 captchas. Or captchas. I always mess up that word. But since I did manage to beat it on normal mode, I am willing to try it on hard mode. Good luck to myself. So again, we are doing captcha.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank
you have all our respect.
So more living beings.
You're still kind of acing it though. Haha.
Okay. And then this is the first time we've seen You Are Being Judged, where you have to close all of them. And if you're looking at the bottom of the screen that I'm sharing, you can see the red bar going across. That's the stress. Grass is always hard for me. There we go. Traffic light. An easier one. Bus. Blue sky. Luckily, I am able to focus on multiple things at once here. But as you can see, the stress is definitely getting across the screen. Another one with living beings.
Your APM is impressive, by the way.
Thank you! Again, this is the best I've ever done in this game. I think it's because I am showing it off. A person.
You got rid of the You Are Judged carousel in like 1.5 seconds. That's like very impressive.
I've also been getting relatively easy captchas. Okay! I did it! Woo!
Bravo.
I don't know if I have the heart for hardcore mode, but I could sure try. In the meantime, I am sending the link into the chat for this game as well. If you guys want to check it out, I highly recommend it. Yeah, I love this because I can understand it very much. Of like, I usually have tabs open on my screen. I have maybe 5 tabs open at a time, and every time I go into a new tab, I'm like, oh right, I was going to do that task. What task was that again? And I forget. And so I switch to the next tab, and I have the exact same conversation. I go, what was I going to do again? I forget. So like, having that anxiety of having so many things on the screen and having to manage so much, in a weird way, it was really calming to me because I was so focused on getting one task done. So it's a mixture of like, so much to do. Also, this is really like focused on one thing, for me at least.
Yeah, I really, really agree. I second everything you said. You know, we are our own distractions. We are our own buy it now banners. And I found that very, very relevant. especially to what's going on in my mind and how many buy it now banners appear in my head as I try to click on the captchas of my life. So this was very powerful in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you say, it's a very simple game loop that you can close quite quickly and understand the whole story fairly easily. So that's in my mind a very, very well made game.
For sure. And one final comment I have for specifically the "you are being judged" text. The first time it popped up, I was like, "Oh yeah, I feel judged." The eyes were really impactful for me. I also have social anxiety, and like that feeling of being judged and the eyeballs, I was like, "Ooh, that's how it feels sometimes," and it's hard to ignore those. And the fact that they go so fast, I don't know how I managed to do it so well this time, but the first few times I played, I was being judged for a long time. I struggled very, very hard to get those closed. So yeah, like I think that's also really like interesting way to represent social anxiety, because I certainly feel that, and it's hard to move past it sometimes. Yeah.
That's very fair. But then when you are on stage, you perform like a pro. So maybe, you should try League of Legends or StarCraft or, see how that goes.
Honestly, I don't talk about it much, but uh, what people see is this part of being, "Hi, I am Ned. I'm performing right now," but they don't see the before where I'm like, "Oh, okay." They don't see the during where I'm below my camera. I'm fidgeting with my hands. It's nice that I get to interact with the game because that's calming for me. And in the after where I'm like, "Oh no, everything I said was wrong somehow." And that's like really interesting in general, of like this in between is the weirdly calm part where I'm only thinking ever so slightly that everything I'm saying is incorrect. So like that was like a little like taste of it that was like, yeah, that's kind of how it feels sometimes, where it does suddenly hit you of like there's somebody watching you, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Are we good to move on to the next game, or do you have any final thoughts?
No, let's go.
Awesome.
Let's do it.
Thank you very much, Barking Hound, for joining us. The next one is going to be Sunderborn, episode 1, Where's Home?
Rock and roll.
It seems like we do have a warning right away. Some elements of this game are not for the faint of heart. Some plot twists and at least one game ending involve discrimination, ostracization, and living with trauma. Trauma that was incurred to oneself and trauma that was dealt by oneself. I'm just going to continue reading here. Robots and superheroes have been my autistic special interest as a child. Knowing a lot about them helped me make lots of friends during childhood, so lucky me. However, as I got older, the interests of people my age diverged from mine, and I had trouble getting on the same wavelength as them. At some point, the gap between me and my social surroundings became so large that I felt isolated and lonely, so isolated that it became detrimental to my mental health. In the storyline, I also want to address that issue, that human history is full of people that were marginalized, made fun of, ostracized, or even threatened because of their divergent ideas and observations. And some of those people became understood and highly respected many years later, often posthumously. Think of Galileo or Socrates. So, Sunderborn, Episode 1, Where's Home? Viking made in Thunderhammer's robots and mecha, with interactive fiction between. Plot twists in the story contain elements about neurodivergent and being misunderstood by a majority. 3 possible endings, 1 bad, 1 relatively not so bad, and 1 healing connectedness ending. The choice you make in the last stage matters. Do you know how to get the best endings? And then we have the controls here. One thing I find immediately interesting, and I don't know for sure if it was intentional or not, but the fact that WASD for the keyboard and mouse is not the controls. Instead, you move the controls 1 over and you're using ESDF, which is very interesting to me. So already I'm playing with like just a touch of a disadvantage because this is a bit embarrassing to admit, but when I go to my computer and I go to start typing, my fingers just automatically go to WASD, even if I'm not going to be playing a game. But I found that really interesting, and a lot of the topics even touched on in the description I totally understand. One of my special interests, you could probably tell by the cloth in the background here, is clowns. And when you're a kid, that's relatively normal. Well, now I am an adult. It's a bit weird, and a lot of people think I'm talking about the horror clowns. No, I'm talking about the cute ones. Alrighty. I'm going to kind of just jump into it. I did play a bit of it earlier, but I didn't get to any sort of endings. I know Londoland wanted to update the game before the showcase, so I kind of waited until now to really delve into it. But I know roughly how to play at least. Okay, I have to make sure my hand is won over on the WASD. Alrighty.
I played with I have to say, I'm quite impressed that there's also gamepad support. I played with a gamepad and it worked gloriously. So, but on the ESDF thing, I thought it's payback time. And I was actually quite happy for nothing that has to do with neurodiversity, but because as a left-handed person, every single time I play a game with keyboard and mouse, it's an absolute nightmare because the default setting is obviously WASD for directions and maybe jump on space. But if you do that with your right hand instead of your left hand,
right,
it messes everything up. And I need to redo the keyboard setting every single time. So at least for once, you experience what I somewhat experience every time I play a game with MNK. There you go.
I get that. I usually use the arrow keys with my right hand most of the time anyways. I prefer sometimes my right hand being the one controlling things. But I guess I got so used to using my left hand. That's something I never really thought about. Thank you for bringing that up. So, alrighty. I'm going to open up the game, put it full screen. I know my box here is going to be cutting off some of the dialogue. I will read it out loud so that everyone can know. And thank you, Londonland, for encouraging me. I am just going to turn down the music slightly. I'm watching the audio levels, so let me know if you can still hear us, basically. Alrighty, and I am going to turn on story mode, just because when I was playing earlier, I did die, and I was on story mode already. But I don't play fighting games too often, so I'm gonna hit start new game. Finally, you're almost there. I'm going to remove the logo for now so you can at least see that half the text. As the style dialed from morning to midday, you approached your childhood village. The scent of fresh grass and pine trees filled your nostrils, stirring up memories. A little bit lower? Okay, thank you for letting me know. There we go. I've lowered it a little bit here. Okay. Nature emanates sweetness during spring, doesn't it, daughter? Your father asked. You two had been traversing the wilderness for weeks to reach your childhood home. Awesome. I'm glad that the audio is good now. Father always had a knack for sensing what you're thinking. Indeed, Father, the scent of this land reminds me of wrestling with Bjorn. You replied. Bjorn, your childhood best friend, and the only one who could almost beat you at wrestling. Well, just as we speak of him, look who's there, Father mentioned. Not far away, some dozens of yards away, you saw a young man approaching. His features looked familiar to you, yet more mature than you can remember. Could that be him? My oh my, traveler, it looks like you're still full of life after many weeks of hiking. Your gaze locked with his gaze for what seemed to be a full minute. In what seemed to be a minute, you sensed your heart filling with joy and camaraderie. And also, filled with the desire for rough and tumble play. Bjorn, you exclaimed, and you two were hugging each other before you knew it. You walked to the village together, sharing stories about what you had been up to. You talked for hours, drinking mead until sunset, and you slept in the visitor's lodge. The next morning, you went out walking by yourself with your trusty hammer. Alrighty. I already put my fingers on the wrong keys, but we're good. I'm good now.
I don't know if you ever played Brutal Legends, the game with Jack Black. But this
I have
really
not.
sends me Brutal Legends vibes, and that's why it was also with the music. I was like, oh hell yeah. This rocks in many different ways. And living in Denmark, I like gods with or just people with a big hammer in their hand.
I love the gameplay here. I see that Lundaland is saying to press M to mute the music if I need it, which is wonderful. I see the sound effects are still coming through though. That's really, really cool. And it seems like I could still hear it very, very faintly. Which is actually really nice for me at least. So far, I still.
I love how in 2 days. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, please go ahead. I see that our display has messed up a little, but honestly, it just means that they're seeing you twice, Fabio, which is so okay.
They're seeing me twice? Oh my god. Oh yes, look at this.
I'm okay with
wow.
not being seen right now.
Cool. You can see like my head and the rest of my body. That's cool.
Well, like I'm
What
just
if
gamer face right now, so just trying to make sure I don't fail.
You slay stuff with your hammer. And I like how, in only 2 days of Game Jam, the gameplay is quite complex because there's light attack, strong attacks. There's a combo as well that you can do. There's a block function, which I played in normal and I died because it just spammed attacks. Well, that doesn't work. I actually need to block or avoid attack, dodge attacks, and that was quite fun.
Yes.
It actually is a very well made game. I
love it. I honestly, for the first little bit of the time I was playing, I was mostly using the right click, the stronger attack, just because. Sorry, no, I was using the left click at first, and I was struggling quite a bit because I was taking it slow, but eventually I got to the point where I started using the right as well, and that made it much smoother for me. And then I learned to block the hard way.
Yeah.
Actually up against this upcoming enemy here, the purple, because it's interesting. It's interesting because it kind of manually gives you a tutorial on how to use mechanics, because you have to learn to block with enemies like this that have the ability to block you yourself. My oh my, you did quite a number on them, Berserker Lady. Those metal creatures had been a nuisance for a while now. It was nothing, no match for me, so no honor gained, you said. You're quite modest for a berserker. And who might your companion be? I would be this lady's berserker's father, Thor Odinson. What? The all-might warrior Thor himself. And is this lady's father? Oh my, that's why this lady can strike her hammer like thunderbolt and lightning. Father and this odd-looking fellow seem to get along quite well. Once passionate warrior, with age father grew more calm and wise. Father Thor and King could talk for hours. You decided to let them talk, and went off to look for Bjorn. Saw Bjorn by the lake and went up to meet him. For the whole day, you two talked endlessly, reminiscing the good old adventures you shared during childhood. You felt a deep connection with Bjorn that you had with no other person. As push came to shove, you did a wrestling match together. You managed to get on top of him and kissed him. And as the sun had set, you spent the night together near the lake. The next morning, you went out stretching your legs where you saw those metal creatures. Alrighty, here we go again. And this is all newer content I've seen. I never saw that second cutscene. But it seems like we got some different enemies here.
Yep. I wish, often games like these tend to be quite crude and stories, narratives tend to be quite flat, to be honest, and repurposed. I love how if there could be a game like this, which is like this, an action game, kind of Bayonetta style, or Brutal Legends, DMC, with some soul, with some narrative, that talks about. That is not just about mashing buttons, but also talks about important topics, difficult topics, and makes you take tough decisions.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Typically, it's only visual novels or RPGs that have meaningful decisions and moral decisions you need to make. Probably because if you like button mashing games like me, you'd be like, that guy doesn't want to make an interesting decision; he just wants to mash buttons. But I think instead, speaking of which, I'll let you take the story back.
The killer metal rabbit lying lifeless at your feet, you gaze at the strange purple light. You walk up to touch the light beam. Suddenly, without your own willpower, you were elevated towards the strange disc above. You found yourself inside a metal building with circle-shaped windows. As you peered through a window, you watched the ground below you becoming ever smaller. The trees became smaller and smaller until you had a view below as if from 10 mountains high. After passing the clouds, you gazed in awe at the wondrous view outside. If only you could share this beautiful moment with your dearest Bjorn. Is that Midgard? You wondered, looking at the beautiful, massive round shape outside. There was no rainbow here, only the giant sphere you called home, and amidst of vast blackness. Then you felt yourself being pulled once more through the purple light. But this time, downwards back to Midgard, you call home. After a fast journey downwards, you are back as the dirt and soil touched your feet. You have to tell this to the villagers. You have to tell Bjorn. Greetings to Petings, O mighty warrior maiden. You look like you have a story. I think it says to tell, but I can't seem to scroll right now to see. That's okay. King, the all-seeing know-it-all, is kissing up again. But yes, indeed, I have seen wondrous things, indeed, you said. For I have slain a giant metal rabbit, after which I flew beyond the skies. There I beheld our home, Midgard, which appeared to be rounder than an apple. But the legendary Rainbow Bridge I did not behold. It appears there is none. So Midgard isn't flat, but round, you declared. The Rainbow Bridge doesn't exist. Such did I witness after slaying the giant metal bunny rabbit. I don't think anybody likes that right this second. Haha, everyone's laughing. Of course Midgard must be flat, otherwise we'd fall off. A giant metal fluffy rabbit told you there is no rainbow bridge? Of course there is a rainbow bridge. That's how beings travel. Well, don't believe me by my word. Father, why don't you tell them? Daughter, please beware now. Who are you talking to, Berserker Lady? Yes, why are you talking to thin air? Thor, of course, my father, he's standing right next to me. But there's nobody there. Yes, silly rabbit slayer, nothing but air there. Maybe you've been hit to the head once too often in battle? King said Thor. Hail to you, O mighty Thor. Hello to you, King. Berserker maiden, you're scaring us. Yes, you are talking about giant metal rabbits. Flying beyond the sky. Apple-shed Midgards. And now you say you're the daughter of Thor? Whom you are talking to in thin air? I could see the mighty Thor clearly. You realize these people could not be reasoned with. Then you notice Born's absence. Desperately needing his solace, you go out into the wilderness to search him. Honestly, like, even that part there of not being believed by the people, it just is strongly like how many people in the past are sharing theories that later are true, like Galileo, and nobody believes them at the time. And also, I see Lundaland, you said pressing A to lock onto the next target. I did that now. And I forgot which button was blocked for a second there. Hence the near-death experience. I was holding block, I promise. Alrighty. I am going to hit mute on this just so I can hear. Any thoughts about the previous segment there, Fabio?
Yeah, that's, I love how now I'm deeply invested now in what's going to happen. It's quite compelling, and like you say, in my mind, it's a Galileo thing. It's people that try to change the status quo, but it's also the way neurodivergent people see the world. To different extents of differences and of the differential from the norm, but that's how sometimes neurodiverse people are seen from the rest of the world, really. And that's the stigma that we're trying to remove. That's the awareness we're trying to establish. It's not about seeing thin air fathers or spherical planets. It's about just seeing the reality in a different way. And there shouldn't be a reason, why people should be stigmatized because of that. In fact, it should call for understanding and inquiry about, okay, tell me about your experience. Tell me about what you see and how do you perceive it. But, it's easier. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Oh, he's down there.
You did the virtual fighter thing out of the ring.
Londoland says this is the final boss stage as well. So I'm going to try jumping down here and...
Join the final boss in the abyss.
Yes. A bug. No worries. It happens. It wouldn't be a Game Jam game without bugs, right?
This is all live and loud. That's why it's fun. And hey, in a way, this should make people play the game instead of getting it spoiled here. So maybe that's a good thing. Because they should play the game to see the finale.
There's no reset button.
And to see the end of the story.
The final boss is the back rooms. The true final boss. No, yeah, well, it happens. There's no reset button for the stage. Either way, yeah, like this is a perfect opportunity to say, if you want to know what happens next, you have to check it out yourself. Alrighty. I am going to post the link to the game in the chat. But yes, that happens. Game Jam games aren't perfect ever. It's impossible to demand perfection out of Game Jam games. I even made one myself. You will see it in the future of the stream. It happens. Thank you so much, Lindaland, for joining this Game Jam. This was really entertaining. And I definitely see the themes you're going for. Any final thoughts, Fabio?
Oh, I can only, repeat what I said before, the abyss thing, which is, again, it's it's a really powerful metaphor, not only for people that historically have been ostracized, but also people that these days do that because they see reality in a different way. And the introduction couldn't have said it better. Discrimination, ostracization, living with trauma. It shouldn't happen. It's so silly. It shouldn't happen. We are evolved enough and smart enough to be able to be curious about things and to try and understand things and people, especially people that see the world in a different way from us. And if more people played these games, I think, games like these, maybe they could understand it better. Because certainly by reading a behavioral psychology book or something like that, it's trickier, or probably nobody would. It's not as fun. Playing a game like this is super fun, and it sends a very powerful message. So I hope that more games like these get made and more people play games like these.
For sure. Alrighty. We are just gonna send it in terms of the screens and you being just slightly weirdly in frame, out of frame.
Do you want to take some time to try and tidy that up? I'm happy to entertain.
Sure.
In the meantime.
May be a little bit weird in the meantime, because everyone's going to see the behind the scenes a little bit. But I'm just going to swap over here. Feel free to chat while I am doing this. Oh, I'm sorry. I made it so that you can't be heard on this screen. Well, if you want just one moment, please. I'll make sure you're audible. Alrighty, you could be heard now.
Hello again.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. See, live television is beautiful for this reason. And when I used to work on live events, there were many fun stories that I ended up with. I remember when we did a live event in esports. I think it was a Call of Duty tournament. The countdown went to 0, and then instead of the show starting, the countdown went back from 1 to 6. And it was me and the broadcast engineer in the room, in the control room. And you might be thinking, well, it's 6 seconds. What kind of? Well, trust me, those were very long 6 seconds. They were the 6 longest seconds of my life, because it ain't, it's like, what the F is happening? There's like millions of dollars being spent on this thing, and the countdown goes up. It's not even made to go up. It's supposed to just explode when it goes to 0. So that's the beauty of live television. And I could see from the Twitch stream that you talked to me, some of my face and my hairline. Now, my hairline is not my best bit. I am a bit of a Trig to G fan, and what I share with Trig to G is indeed the hairline. So apologies if you had to have a dialogue with my hairline. But hey,
I mean,
that's what happens.
You and your hairline have excellent dialogue in general, so.
No.
I will say they can hear you, and now I can't as I'm fixing this. So we're in an interesting scenario where, specifically when I'm fixing my screen, which is going to look very pixelated just because of the way the setup is now, I can't hear you, but they can. So if you want to tell them any secrets that you don't want to tell me, now's the chance to do so. Oh, this is strange now. We can't hear you, not him. Yeah, this is interesting. Well, either way, we're swapping over now back to game showcase mode, where we can both be heard.
Haha.
There we go. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
That's all good. It's a game jam, and this is the simulation of how making a game for a game jam is. There's always some bugs. There's always some stuff that goes wrong. It's all good.
For sure. And like, this is honestly my first time using OBS in this way, so I've learned a lot in a little bit of time, and thank you for your patience, everyone. Do we want to move on to the next game?
Let's do that. But let me tell one thing, because you said, it's your first time using OBS, and sorry. I'll say it also in the end, because I think the show should end on this happy note, but you have done like images. You've done visuals for each. You've done the Discord. You're managing now a stream whilst also being the host. Like, it's mental, the stuff you've done with zero advanced preparation. Again, it's 2 weeks, in like almost less than 2 weeks. So you might say sorry, but I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you and kudos, because you've done something that is absolutely insane. So thanks a lot. And indeed, let's move on to the next little nuggets of imagination.
For sure. Thank you very much, Fabio. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a wild 2 weeks. It's been wonderful. It's been a whirlwind, and I'm so glad that we're here now. So next is going to be Speak Ain't Easy, by Monroe Labs. It's a short conversational game for Neurodiversity Pride Canada Game Jam designed around the theme of communication issues, made over one weekend in a terribly disorganized fashion under a heavy dose of Ritalin and all the spirit of the chaotic ADHD lifestyle. And then they have credits for the different things that they used making this game. So without any further ado, I'm going to hit run game, and the game is going to load up.
As a cat, it's always a good sign.
Hello.
Hi, my name is George. I will help you settle into this. Right, it's enter. First off, I want to thank you for participating in this experiment. I know it's not easy to take time of your busy schedule to play some random game that you found on the internet, but I will do my best to make it worth your while. Alrighty, sure. Basic controls. You can use the left and right arrow keys to pick an answer, and the spacebar or enter to speak. Why don't you try it out? Do you want to make the choice here, Fabio?
Oh, you go do it, because as you know, you won't have much time eventually, so.
Alright. Great! Now that you got the basics firmly grasped, let's get started. Let's learn a bit more about you. Are you a girl or a boy? I'm gonna say none of your business. Yeah, that's fair. I guess we could skip that part and get right to the fun stuff.
Let's.
I want to make sure you are comfortable with this game. Until now, all you've had to do is pick and choose an answer. For all the fun it was, it's not enough to qualify this experiment as a game. Why don't we spice things up a little? Sounds good, I don't like spice, or I was already having so much fun. I'll be truthful here, I was already having so much fun. Love the enthusiasm, but I think we can make it even more ridiculously fun. Trust me on this one. Let's see. I know, how about we add a little time pressure? After all, in real life conversations, you don't always have all the luxury of time to think about things through. It could get awkward. So from now on, you will have a limited amount of time to choose your answer. Don't worry, you'll get used to it. Let's try it out. Pick an answer within 5 seconds. I don't like time pressure. Well, maybe just stumbled upon the first lesson that this game could offer us. Time moves on unreluctantly, pressuring us, and it can often be tough to deal with. That is very, very true. I'm thankful at least that as long as I don't hit space or enter, I can at least take a moment. But that is a very true thing of like, it doesn't matter, time just keeps going. Especially when it comes to social interactions, when you don't feel equipped to handle them. But we're in this together, and it's just we support each other through this. You've got this. Just remember to stay calm and focused. And would you look at that? We have a timer now. Fun is happening as we speak. Wow, that's cool. I know, right? It adds a whole new level of excitement to the game. Now, it's great and all that we're having the time of our lives in this realistic conversation simulator. But I think we are missing something critical to call this game a game. I'm happy with everything. Well, this was a little uncalled for, but I'll pass it along to the developer. No.
George has been so nice to you. Why'd you do this to George?
There's no, like, I'm happy option. Because this is the type of game I love text-based games. So, like, I don't need the fancy graphic. The dialogue has been fun. The sound effects aren't annoying. It's been really fun. No, a challenge, of course. Some stakes. In order to make this worth our while, we need to have something to lose. What do you have in mind? Well, going back to the main idea of this game, we want to reproduce the experience of a real-life conversation. And in real life, when you don't respond under some arbitrary time, you don't automatically blurt out a random answer. Right? Ooh, I saw pineapple there. I wish I got over to pineapple. In real circumstances, the silence just gets more and more awkward until it becomes unbearable for everyone involved. So why don't we make it so that if you don't answer in time, instead of acting out, you will build up a little awkwardness meter. And if it gets too high, you lose the game. Just like in real life, right? What? Look, I know it's not ideal, but it's the best I could come up with. Bear with me, and maybe we can attain actual tangible fun. I can see your point. I want to see what happens if I don't answer. Okay. Of course you do. You're a sharp-minded person. Now let's try it out. I will ask you a question, and you will have 5 seconds to answer. If you don't answer in time, your awkwardness meter will go up. For now, in the warmth and safety of this tutorial, it will make you actually lose the game. But it will provide you with a precious insight into the constraints of conversational flow. Ready? Here we go. What is your favorite color? Okay. I do have a favorite color. Personally, it's green. But you can see the awkwardness meters going up. I am going to say green in this case. And George's name color changes to green. Great job, you answered in time, and the awkwardness remained at a safe level. Now let's try it again, but this time you will have to answer within 3 seconds. You got this. Please note that, just as in real life, the awkwardness that built up does not go away that easily. Like foul, stenchy odor, it compounds, and it will make it take a while to get rid of it. So if you keep missing the beats of our conversation, the awkwardness meter will fill up even more. That's how we raise the stakes. Alright, let's go. Remember, only 3 seconds before the uneasy sets in. How did you hear about this game? Internet. That's right. That's my favorite way to find games too. What I like even more is supporting the developers of said games, of course. This new measurement tool is literally a game changer. Let's also make it account for the annoyance of cutting off the speaker. Or answering disturbingly too fast. It's a dead giveaway that someone is not listening. I almost hit like you always do. I hate when people do that. You and me, friend. And voila! This concludes our tinkering with the gloomy mechanics of communication. At last, we have a basic working concept of a conversation game. We still have ways to go, but let's take a moment to appreciate how far we've come. No timer. No ugly mouse sprite. Just one blissful moment. Free from all the rules and expectations of communication. Feels good, right? I always treasure this part of the game. Because now is the exact moment when you are no longer under my patronage. That's right, the safety belt is off. Any minute now, you will be expected to say something snappy, as if this game's execution process depended on it. Which it probably does, because the developer has yet to implement a proper game over screen. Are you willing to take any chances? All you have to do is nothing. Just let the weight of your silence creep in. Take hold, leaving this sad little game to meet its gloomy fate. Alone. Into the depths of unallocated memory. No, I believe you. Phew. Thank you. As you might have guessed, this was definitely my least favorite part of the game. It's interesting because it's both wait until you see. I'm waiting for the little triangle. Wait until you see that or the timer, but also when you see the timer, go quick. Which is
Yep.
really how conversations feel sometimes. I'm
And you
delighted.
can cut it because sometimes I spammed enter and I
Before
mistakenly gave an answer. So it's actually like real life. Sometimes you just cut conversations when you shouldn't.
and like before it said the text about skipping dialogue, the first time I was playing, I was double tapping so I could get to, like, because I just read that fast, but reading it out
Yeah,
loud isn't giving me that leeway, right?
yeah.
Because the way I read out loud and the time it takes for the text to come up is the same. I'm delighted that we're starting off on such a mutual understanding. Either that or this is already your second playthrough. Let's not do this now,
Uh,
George. I see. Not gonna lie, it feels a bit like I am living on borrowed time. But I will strive to make the most of it. Now, where were we? Okay, full disclosure, I am out of ideas. Let's just put all of this into practice. I will engage in genuine, meaningful conversation with you, and we'll see how it goes. That will be our ultimate test. There's a question I've been meaning to ask you, friend, and I am not sure how to put it. What is it? Do you happen to know how many times you've picked an answer on the left side in this game? Honestly, I have no idea. Honesty is a virtue, and I will reward it with a little friendship boost. Alright, I think we are dangerously running out of time. If this ending feels rushed, it is a stunningly accurate portrayal of how my creator felt writing these lines. But I must say, this was such a pleasure to talk. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. Frankly, I doubt you will come out of this game with a particularly enhanced understanding of social interactions. But I hope the little time it took you to get here will not leave a lasting impression out of a wasted dozen minutes. To me, this was honestly the best outcome I could hope for. Thank you for playing this game, and remember to keep that kind attitude when writing it on the Game Jam. And that's that. That's the end of the game. I love it.
It's so. I love when a game. So I love the sarcastic tone all over the game. That's just a personal favorite of mine. I like a game who almost, you know, jokes about itself. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and kind of breaks the fourth wall, referring to itself as a game or a person or a developer. I absolutely love that. But aside from like stylistic choices, I think that this game tells you something significant about social relationships and how to have a conversation. And I think that's where the magic is in these game jam games with a purpose, because this game has a purpose. If I don't know that dynamic about anxiety, that dynamic about having to answer and within 5 seconds or my awkwardness meter goes up. If you think about it, it's actually like a conversation work. And I think we've all been there in real life in a conversation where I don't care about this topic, or I don't want to contribute, or I don't feel comfortable. And then you end up being the awkward one because you can see your awkwardness meter going up and up and up.
Yeah.
At least I could see mine.
Um,
And it's my mind, my brain cannot fathom putting these experiences in something that I can explain to people in such a creative and playful way. And in my mind, this is the most powerful way for people to learn, because it's interactive, it's fun, and this stuff is gonna stick. I really wish these kind of games would be played, anywhere in schools, or where people need to learn about social dynamics. It's absolutely fantastic in my mind.
for sure. Um, One of the chatters, Brave Kenny, says that there's a bad outcome as well. I've played this game a couple of
Oh,
times, but I always choose the same options because I feel bad about being negative towards
yeah.
George here. And I just want to answer quickly because I'm afraid of that awkwardness meter. But it's interesting that there is more than one outcome, and the fact that I haven't gotten it yet is purely because of the way I play games and further how I interact with people in general. I'm always trying to make sure there's no awkwardness. And I really like games that are meta in general. You have to be pretty mean to George. Okay, I don't know if I have the heart for that. um, I like games that are meta. One of my favorite games of all time is going to be the Stanley Parable, where it's entirely meta. The entire game is extremely meta. I highly recommend it if you've never played it. But games like this, where it addresses the player and invites the player to be their own character, is really interesting to me. Because that's what's really going on here. When you play this game, you're not playing as a character, you're playing as yourself, and that line merges quite a bit. And I think that's why I struggle to be mean to characters, because I don't want to be mean to anyone. It's a nice, witty little game, and I like how the tutorial builds upon itself. The game continuously builds itself and introduces more and more like things that is like, oh, by the way, you have to consider this when you're in a conversation as well. And it slowly builds up that now you got this and that to think about. Yeah.
So are you lawful neutral? Sorry, lawful good?
It's funny because I like to describe myself as chaotic good, and then I have my friends going, no, you are lawful. You follow all the rules. But yes, usually I am referred to as a lawful good.
That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that. You say it as if it's a bad thing, but it's a good thing actually.
I follow rules to a fault sometimes. Like, it's part of literal thinking. I am autistic. I have a love of literal thinking, and I like have to follow rules to a T, to a fault, and very rigidly, to the point where I've been trying to teach myself to not do that. Because it's gotten me in situations where it's like, yeah, my common sense said this was a bad idea, but the rules said, hey, this is this way, and I could have done it much more efficiently if I just did it the way I thought of. Yeah. But all in all, just like a really cool game.
Yeah.
I really like it. I'm going to send the link into the chat for it. Speaking Easy, which is a very true title. Because like we even have it now when we're conversing right now. I'm constantly trying to figure out if I'm accidentally going to cut you off. That sort of thing. So we are playing this game all the time.
We are, but even when you watch streams of people that do this for a living and I have thousands and thousands of users, when you have an actual conversation like this and not something scripted, I think it's just bound to happen,
For sure.
It's just part of it's just part of how it is, and it's fine and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way things go sometimes.
For sure. Yeah. Alrighty. Are we ready to move on to the next game? If you want to check out the bad ending, highly recommend playing the game yourself. I love it. It's such a simple little game that communicates its like message very clearly.
Yeah, let's go on.
Alrighty.
Oh, we still have 4 to go. Holy cow, I'm having fun and I'm not looking at time.
Yes, we've been streaming for quite a while.
Yeah.
It's like I have the exact time on my screen. We've been on for an hour and 14 minutes so far.
What? Okay.
But that speaks to the quality and like the interest of these games, right?
Indeed.
Alrighty.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So we got Dendrite Trail next by Ryan Queen. Old Axon Sean, the thought prospector, has dug up a cart full of golden idea nuggets, and he's gonna get them to the big city Brainsville pronto. But there's distractions in them that are hills, so load up your 6-shooter and keep the varmint gang from stealing your ideas. Axon Sean is voiced by Nick A. We got models from craftpix.net. Music is like Wild West to Another World, and sound effects is from Audible Dread. I have played this game as well. I will say it's likely I will maybe not be giving commentary or responding to you as we're playing, just because it is rather loud in my ears, and y'all will hear it mixed well. I will not be able to hear Fabio probably over the items going on, but I will try to make sure that I don't talk over you and vice versa.
You save those ideas, and
Yeah.
I'll comment on it. So it's all
Honestly,
good.
honestly, when from playing the game previously, I do tend to go a bit quiet because I am focusing very hard. So I'm gonna jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Wakey, wakey, kiddo. We gotta
I'll let you still read the
nuggets to Brainsville pronto.
the text.
If these ideas ain't on the next train of thought out of town, I'll go bust. And old Axon Schwan don't never go bust. So you gotta protect my hard-earned nugs while I drive like the Dickens. I'll call them out when they approach the cart. Then you blast them away before they can steal my nugs. Click to shoot and press R to reload. Hit them right before they grab a nug for big damage. Here they come now. Hold on
big
tight,
damage.
cause we ain't stopping for Mother Mercy herself. Hee-yah! To the left.
So there you go. You got 25 nugs. You have a gun with 6 ammo,
On your right.
classic Western style revolver,
Working
and you
gravy
gotta
to
shoot
the left.
baddies.
Save the nugs.
It's a quiet, frenetic.
On your right.
I have to say, I'm playing myself quite a while.
Boy, howdy.
It's a
To the
quite
left.
frenetic on-rail shooter, and it's quite beautiful. And the voice of the guy is just
Dang, nabbit.
is just hilarious.
Get shooting, kid.
There's a lot of baddies, and they come from all directions.
On
And
your
you
right.
gotta manage ammos, and you're not gonna win if you actually don't play it right. As you can see, the nuggets are down to 20.
Pork and gravy. Eyes forward.
Eyes forward. So the guy actually tells you where they're coming from. Pork and gravy.
Eyes forward. Crack shooting,
And so
partner.
you can actually look around based on the input of the
Crack shooting,
of the
water
driver.
behind. Crack shooting,
I hope you can hear the
on
sound.
your right. Yeehaw.
because they're absolutely
Watch your
hilarious.
behind. Yeehaw. Good
Let's
shot.
go behind. Yeehaw.
Eyes forward. Blast him away.
You're doing well, Ned. You're doing well.
Good shot.
And yeah, if you shoot them when they have the 3 exclamation marks,
Boy,
you do bigger damage. You kind of one-shot them.
Good shot.
And it's quite interesting because you have to, 6 ammo isn't much when you have these many baddies on the screen. So you gotta keep reloading, you gotta keep going.
On your right.
There's a lot of ideas and distractions coming up on your way to saving the nuts. I'll tell you that much. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of baddies.
Eyes forward, my dogs.
Was a machine gun when you
Watch
need
your
it.
behind. Yeehaw. Good
I wish there
shot.
were more, like,
Get 'em
there
over
were
the
more
car.
on-rail shooters. There are not many, and they are so much fun. If you ever played on an arcade,
Where's my britches?
those very old school on-rail shooters. Oh, there you go. You've done it.
My dogs.
I love it.
Don't you feel the world should have more on-rail shooters? As someone who played a lot of on-rail shooters in arcades, I feel that this genre is not being honored as of now. You see sometimes some old arcades in arcades when it's some old coin ops in arcades, but they are like a very rare thing these days.
For sure. I felt bad. Like, I see you, Brave Kitties, in the chat saying "Don't shoot the horses." I felt bad. I didn't mean to. It's kind of hard for me to aim. But like, what a like. I don't know if you noticed how focused I was on the game, but it definitely is the type where you're just like focused in. Very fun, and I love the voice acting in the game itself. I know the first time I played it, I was saying no, my nugs along with the character. But something I wrote about in my comment, and something I'll talk about again, is I find it very interesting that when playing, I find that the distraction, like the distractions basically coming to steal the thought nuggets, become what I'm focused in on the most. Not even the nuggets. I'm not even thinking about that. I'm just listening. It's on your left. Okay. That sort of thing. And I think it's kind of interesting that the distraction becomes what I mainly am thinking about. In terms of like and it's true. It's I can't tell you the amount of times I've been like, don't get distracted by this. Don't get distracted by this. Now all I'm thinking about is the thing that I'm trying not to get distracted by. And I'll sit there for hours trying to work on something. And my brain's like, but the thing that you weren't supposed to think about. What if we thought about it? That sort of thing.
I agree. I think I love also how, that there's more baddies than bullets. And I think that's also true, at least for my brain. There's many more random ideas popping up and trying to steal the nuggets than mental strength that I have to put them at bay. And sometimes the ideas do steal some nuggets, I have to say. And, much like You Are No Human, this is a great rendition of how the ability to, sometimes it's just too much stuff going on in our head. And it's difficult to shoot the baddies or click on the "you are judged" banners and send all these intrusive thoughts away and just focus on what matters most. I think it's another brilliant metaphor that should really teach us and all the people that will play it something, hopefully.
And on top of that, just the fact that the game itself, when you play, the best moment to shoot at the distractions coming in are actually when it's the closest to the thoughts and it's got the exclamation marks. I don't know if you noticed it, but that's what I was mainly watching out for. I wasn't shooting at anyone who didn't have the exclamation marks over their head, because instead of it taking 2 rounds, it only took 1. At least that's how I understood how the game was working. So in that way, the distractions you can only shoo away once they're actively coming for you, which is very true. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying that's a very powerful metaphor as well. Yes, because sometimes, I guess for ideas, that's the best time, and then you can also extend it to feelings, right? And especially negative ones. And then the best way to shoot them is after they steal the nuggets. It's it's to just get hit by these feelings, let them through. Don't try to hide them in a drawer or in a or in a closet, because they will pop out eventually. So just let them go through, get hit in the face, try to understand them, try to elaborate them, and let this light away. Let them steal the nuggets, and then you shoot them from behind. You backstab them. That's the,
Or even on top of that, it becomes a management game. If you find that like one side is not working out for you, just the fact that you have to kind of be okay with losing some of them sometimes. Especially if you're not good at navigating the screens like I am, eventually it becomes I'm allowed to take that L a little bit. I'm allowed to let that happen over there, because that means I can get the rest of this. I was having that a couple of times while I was playing. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Alrighty. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next game?
Let's just play Awoken.
Awesome. Alrighty. Here's the game for people in the chat. Riding Shotgun. That's what we just played. Alrighty. Awoken.
It's a great title, by the way.
Yes. Alrighty. And Awoken by Catgirl Here and There. Awesome. Thank you and thank you again, Ryan Queen, for joining us on this game jam. It's been a very, very nice treat. Alrighty, reading the description for Awoken. This game was created for the first Neurodiversity Pride Game Jam. That's us! It recounts my experience waking up during a psychotic episode I experienced from November 2024 to January 2025. You play as a person with psychosis waking up in the morning. Nothing makes sense anymore, and nothing is supposed to make sense. So I'm just going to jump right into the game itself. I'm just going to check the controls. We got WASD, and then we got space or left mouse button to interact. I'm just going to hit start. So the text says, "Find my heart."
You need to be at the right distance with those.
I'm so sorry. I can't hear you very well right now.
Oh, that's so good. I just said you need to be at a certain distance.
Right.
So you can just also skip. Yeah, there you go.
The gods will not forgive you. When I first played this, that was again the first text I saw, and it was something very unsettling for me. Have you forgotten who you are? Text like that in general, I usually avoid in games, because it usually does set off a lot of fear. I do have a lot of fear of not really knowing who I am sometimes. Have you ever wanted to be something more than human? I'm just noticing that it's a bit loud. I'm going to turn it down for the people watching just so they're able to hear us still.
Okay.
But yeah, like... Hello, little guy.
For me, what one thing I loved about this game is how immediately the music and just the environment, how it looks like, immersed me in this sense of, in this world where I can immediately feel some kind of, anxiety, uneasiness. There's something there that unsettles me. And I think it's quite powerful because, of course, that's the point of the game. But I think the execution in that sense has been absolutely wonderful, because
sure.
it does make me feel. And when I talk to these little entities in there and they tell me all these things, I'm like, what the F is happening in here?
Yes, for sure. Are you safe? And yeah, like, I tend to avoid these types of games because personally they are a bit hard for me, but I think I just found the heart. Yay!
Yeah, that's the heart.
Find my eyes. Once there was a girl crying alone in a bathroom stall.
The music is so amazing. Like, I don't know where it comes from, but it's incredible. It really adds to this feeling of, oh dear, this is like, ugh.
And
what's happening?
Entire place is very disorienting. You may be noticing I'm moving quite systematically through this because I don't want to retrace my steps in a way that, like, I'm going back to places I came from, but it's kind of hard to do. Isn't love a medicine to dull the pain of existing?
And what I like is that the further you go in the game, the more what the game tells you and how it communicates with you becomes heavier. Because the question of being just asked, it starts getting into a very deep, into a very deep black hole. So I love how the sense of tension and unsettledness like grows as the game goes ahead.
For sure. Creator of the game here, the music comes from a reversed and edited Chopin song. That makes sense. Okay, this is going to be very weirdly niche, but I play a lot of Rhythm Doctor, and there's a move called the Chopin where you have to use 2 fingers and you have to tap really rapidly. So I associate Chopin with, like, those rapid notes, and you can hear it in the background of the music as well. So it's very interesting to hear.
Where's her eye? Find it.
But yeah, like...
Yeah,
Go ahead.
To be honest, I how to put it? I enjoyed being unsettled. I enjoyed being uncomfortable in this environment. And I just went around without finding the eye. I was also stuck at one eye. And I just, enjoyed the music and enjoyed the experience and tried to reflect on what it actually means. Because, of course, it comes from a very different perspective. And, that's the eye.
Found the eye. But yeah, at the same time, as someone who deals with a lot of intrusive thoughts and like anxiety in general, I can also understand quite a bit of it. And like, I'm not saying that I have the exact same experience as the creator here, but I feel like it could bridge the gap a bit of like, I can understand a little bit of this feeling, but the music, the environment, the haziness of everything, the confusion really enhances that emotional state.
Yeah, exactly.
37.
See, when I say that these games should be played by a lot more people so they could learn, like, imagine someone goes to a room full of people and explains about a psychosis episode and describes what it is and articulates their feelings and how they, what happened before, during, and after, how they saw reality during that time, or what reality they saw during that time. I bet that room of people will get out of that room forgetting 90% of what's being told because they just can't connect. This is not something that you can use empathy to understand. This is not something I can just imagine, If you instead show them something like this, I bet that not only they could relate it to something that happened to them, such as in my case, although, a lot less strong. But when I say that I got comfortable being unsettled in this world, is because this world is also not completely foreign to me. So, but also I'm sure that they will be able to better understand the overall experience and how unsettling it was, and how maybe not fully how terrible it was, because of course, again, you can't be in their shoes, but certainly understand a lot more and have a lot more understanding about what this means and and what it means to a person, what it means to their feelings, and be a bit more respectful maybe of people that had these kind of experiences next time you talk about them. So it's so much more powerful as a medium to make people understand things.
For sure. And that was the entire game there. Of course, I may have not found everything. Actually, the first time I played it, I found the eyes very quickly. So a lot of the text we saw there was actually my first time seeing it. Yeah, and I think it's so important to make games about our experiences like this. Yes, it's unnerving. Yes. Some people may open it and immediately go, I can't do this. But for the people who can and will play, it's a way of communication that is very important. Yeah.
And maybe, people that can't do this, that can't play this, well, it's not really a game for them, because if they can play this, it means that it's close enough to their experiences and their world that, yes, they will lose a piece of entertainment, but the key learning of the game, it sounds like they already are somewhat aware of it through their personal experience. This, to me, is for people that are not aware about this stuff and need to be able to feel that on their own skin, because listening is not enough. This allows you to feel somewhat that experience, and that is, in my mind, is to me what's very powerful.
Yes, and is powerful in general about games.
Yeah,
I love games that express the experience. There's this one game called One Last Game. It was actually made for a game jam quite a while ago. But the feeling of dread that it's able to make within its short experience is something fascinating, and it's something that is very similar here, of like, you don't get the whole story. You just get this moment, and in this moment you feel a certain way. One Last Game, the entire idea is that you're playing you're playing checkers with someone else, and in the distance there's explosions going off, and they get closer and closer, and as you're playing, the checkered board becomes so skewed that you can't really tell who's winning anymore, but it doesn't matter. You're just playing one last game, and that sort of dread and experience communicates so much. Like, this was amazing to experience as well. Awoken was a wonderful game to have that feeling of everything is foggy, nothing quite makes sense. You have a task, it doesn't quite make sense, but you need to do it. And then all these interactions that communicate thoughts that aren't like, I don't know what exact word I'm looking for, because I don't want to call them intrusive, because I don't know for sure if those are intrusive, but thoughts that don't feel comfortable to sit with in general. You are then experiencing those. Yeah, that's personally how I feel about the game.
Yeah, I can second that for sure.
If anyone wants to check out the game, here's the link to it. I should also clarify, even though we're way into this now, we only have a couple games left. They are also on the itch. Thank you. This is technically my first published game, so it makes me happy to hear you both enjoy it. Thank you for joining us on this. And, of course, like, you should be proud of yourself for what you made. You did a great job.
You did an amazing job. I want to echo that, and you should, actually yesterday night I was thinking, if I'm a publisher, I will look at this game and I will be like, this game with a few more hours and a few polish here and there can actually be something really meaningful that you can release on many other platforms. So that's, if that's the first game you're publishing, holy crap, that's a hell of a first game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to see the second, the third, and the fourth, and the 10th one.
And one like additional note is that although the game has unsettling feelings, it's never making horror out of the experience, if that makes sense. Like, one thing that comes across when people are trying to talk about psychosis or just like in general mental health, is that typically it's turned into a horror story. But this one is more unsettling. It doesn't feel like it's an unjust situation in terms of like the amount of horror versus what you're trying to communicate. It's the right amount of unsettling where it's just a relay of experience rather than turning mental health and just like neurodivergence as a whole into a horrific situation. I hope that makes sense.
That's a very good point, because the risk if you do that, then it just becomes, the game like takes cheap shots at you through jump scares and stuff like that, and then it turns out into something that maybe doesn't teach you that much. It just, jump scares you every now and then, but there's no real learning at that point because you just played as a horror game or whatever, as Slender Man or whatever that was called. So that's actually a very, very, very powerful point in my mind. It's how you display that unsettledness, and you display it in a fair way, without putting the player in extreme situations as such. It's a constantly growing tension.
Yeah, the atmosphere is what really lends to the unsettling nature.
Yeah.
And I'm always a fan of games without jump scares because I'm the type who freezes up when playing games that have jump scares in it. So anything without jump scares means that I get to continue to play a game, because otherwise I'm sitting there like this for 5 minutes. And that's not fun for anyone.
No, but also I think jump scares, because when I play a game that I know has jump scares, all my focus goes into that. When am I going to be jump scared?
Right.
I wouldn't even have brain space to think about the story and the real meaning. All I'm worried about is not getting, not shitting my pants. Sorry for my French. And, so that takes a bit away the experience. Whereas this is beautifully built consistently and slowly, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining our game jam. Any final thoughts, Fabio?
No.
Alrighty.
I think I'm ready to say something.
Oh, sorry. My brain broke because I forgot what the next game was. Alrighty. Thank you so much again for joining us, Catgirl, here and there. We're going to move on to Say Something by Nerd. Contribute to a conversation, try and say things before the topic changes, accumulate a high streak. Sprites and audio assets borrowed from another project. And it seems to be about Tourette's. So without much further ado, I will jump right into the game. I am going to play it at full screen. So immediately we have the controls on screen. It took me a few tries of playing this game to understand how it worked, and it was really interesting for me. So the topic right now is a blue video game controller. I read this, and I find out it's the fourth book. I go down, and I hit the space bar 4 times to get to the fourth book. And then I go back up, and I hit space, and now I have to type. I do have a French keyboard, so sometimes it does not let me type apostrophes. But I found if I just mash enough keys, sometimes it'll go through. There we go. Same with the question marks. There we go. But I got one. And now it's a green book. And that's the 9th book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is what it does feel like to like have a conversation with many topics, really. I have been in this experience where someone mentions something and I'm like, oh, I have to think of what to say. And by the time I get a part of the conversation in, yeah, they've moved on. Oh, I forgot to check what... It's another green book. Okay. That's the 9th one. And now I'm down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But yeah, like, I've had multiple conversations where I'm like, hey guys, I know we only talked about that a half an hour ago, but I'm gonna bring it back up, and just because I think of something finally to add to that conversation.
I think this game represents something that everyone must have felt at least once in their lives, you know. I think it's so relatable, so widely relatable, especially, you know, during teenage years in which the social dynamics are a bit weird and it doesn't take long for the awkwardness meter to go up, you know. That's a lovely question, by the way. I'd love to talk about that.
I think it's interesting, like, to imagine this game made with Speak Easy. Like, because they're both talking about conversations in very different ways. Conversations are a big topic in general, very relatable. And I think it'd be interesting if you took something like Speaking Easy and having to figure out the topic as well and combine them. That would be a particularly aggressive type of game.
It would. It definitely would. But then, you know, then it's basically George could also be your George GPT kind of thing and help you out of tricky situations.
True.
George giveth and George taketh away. And I think this is another demonstration of how we could talk about this and how sometimes it's not easy for people to join conversation. There's only so much time before the topic changes and you're out of the conversation and you're more awkward than you were before because your social awkwardness meter has gone up.
Yeah.
And we can talk about all the psychology behind it. And people will be like, "No, I'm bored." Or they can play this. And this is like immediately easy to understand. You feel it. I think when I play this, I'm like, dude, that was me. That was me when, I don't know, I just wanted to play games. And my friends started to talk about cigarettes and motorbikes. And all I wanted is, and I didn't care about either. and I just wanted to play games. I wanted just to talk about games.
Yes.
But in order for the awkwardness meter not to go up, I had to type something. I had to say something, uh, just for the sake of belonging to that group, right? So again, it's so easy to feel it because these games go deep into your memories, like unlock memories and make you feel things as opposed to just listen to something and make you feel you're learning. And I will never stop repeating that again because this is the crucial reason why having games that have a purpose that explain social dynamics is really one of the keys to unlock the awareness that themes like neurodiversity require.
For sure. And like, I like playing games like this because it recontextualizes how to explain to someone else what it feels like. Because, like, I relate heavily to this. It does feel like you have to walk away and flip through some books and just be like, I got it. And then by the time you go back, it's like, anyways, let's not talk about that anymore. That's past. And I miss conversation because I'm trying to think of something to say that adds to the conversation. But when explaining it to someone else who doesn't get it, showing them something like this where it's like literally you step away and by the time you get back the conversation may have changed, that sort of thing. That's how, like, explaining it through games, it helps because now I go, oh yeah, that is what it's like. For sure. I so relate to that.
It's crazy. It's so relatable.
For sure. And that was actually the highest combo I've gotten in this game so far, of getting up to 5. I'll have to see how high I can get it someday. But it's a wonderful, like, simple game where eventually you catch on to how it works. I know at one point I thought the color of the books coordinate with the topics, but you quickly pick up that's not the case because there isn't every colored book for every single topic. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And
last but very much not least, we have a game made by someone we know.
It's me. Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
So I'm going to say something in the chat. Thank you, Nerd11D2, for joining with Say Something. That was really cool. And again, to everyone else too, like, thank you for being here. The final game is something I managed to whip up. I'm mostly an artist. I don't do a lot of programming, but there is this one program I have, and one of the ones I advertised on the Discord that you could use, called Mouse PSD, that takes PSD files that you've made and turns them into drag and drop dress up game type things. And I've been thinking a lot lately about what other uses could that have. There's additional projects I'm working on that I can't really discuss, but imagine someone wearing a glove, and instead of it being like a dress-up game where you put on the glove, you're taking away the glove and discovering what's underneath. Stuff like that. That's what I'm starting to explore with this software. So I did write out a little blurb. Oh no! The cats you have all want in the box, but you only have so much space for them. They're not big on cuddling up to one another, so try to fit as many as you can. This little game was made for the 48-hour Neurodiversity Pride Game Jam. I mostly wanted to talk about what it feels like to know the people around you have a certain amount of tolerance for the differences you have, but you don't really choose the amount of cats that you have total. So you kind of end up choosing what cats get in the box and spoken about, and what cats you have to set aside and hide. Some cats are bigger because they're harder to talk about for both you and those people. Plus, they're really fluffy, and that's really it. It's very direct in what it's talking about here. Nothing really being hidden. It's very on the nose, partly because I was making it in like less than 10 hours. I mostly just drew the cats and went, okay, done. It was like I think Saturday afternoon I realized I could do this, and I just did a quick sketch and threw it together. And I just really wanted to draw some cats. Alrighty, this is my little game. There's no audio or anything. It's just a tiny little how to play. Put the cats in the box using your mouse. The cats won't want to touch each other, so give them space. And I gave each cat like a little thing attached to them. So they literally represent different parts of neurodiversity or things I personally experience, such as verbal stims. That's why this cat is so big, because I find it hard to talk about verbal stims, because how do you explain, it's like, no, I need to say this word and I need to say it a certain way because it feels good to my brain. That's hard to do, especially to people who don't have the time to listen. But as you get to the smaller cats, it's simple things like pacing around, that sort of thing, that a lot of people do, that is easier to describe and explain to other people. There isn't a win or lose condition. It's more you just get to move the cats around, food sensitivity, that sort of thing, and put the cats in the box. Hyperfixation, alexithymia. I can't say it right. But this one in particular is one that most people don't hear about. But it's actually about not being able to identify emotions that you're feeling, which a lot of neurodiverse people experience. But it's a kind of not the largest cat, mostly because I didn't have time to draw 3 large cats. It would probably be one of the larger cats if it was in that situation. I do find if you do click all the cats at once, the text becomes very, very hard to read. So that's why I tried to make it in such a way where you could see all the cats at once on the side and go through them one by one. And then there is a place to put them that hides the text, so you can go for the other cats as well. Yeah. And I purposely made it so there's way too many cats to fit in the box, because that's what it feels like, where I am every cat here, but not all of them everyone can tolerate at once, because there's just so much pressure to present normally that it's like trying to fit too many cats in a box. And like knowing that you have to leave cats to decide. Yeah, that's really what I have to say about my own game. I know it's probably different than talking about the other people's games because I'm here to talk about it. This is really accurate. I represent rambling. That's what I just did.
I love the extra cats go here. I laughed quite hard when I saw extra cats go here. It just sounds amazing. But I thought that actually when you click the cats and all the text comes out, I thought it was on purpose, because much like you said, all these cats do exist at any given time in our head. There's no way to, make them go out of the house. And so I think that was actually a great representation how sometimes all these things just bunch up together in a not particularly healthy way. And much like your game shows, we got to make a choice. We have so much space here to manage things, and depending on where we are, we have to choose what's most important, what to prioritize, which cats to actually process and manage, and which we leave on the background.
Yeah.
And I found that was another very, very powerful rendition of how to explain people how complicated sometimes, how many things are in people's minds, and how complex it is to manage them all at once, because it's simply not possible.
Indeed. And like, I mostly want to use it as a way to be like, yeah, these are all the things I am managing. But people only see a small part of it. And I largely curate it to what is most acceptable by other people. Yeah. When I go out in public, I try my hardest to not have any verbal stims, even though my brain is asking me to say certain things and like make noise or that or the other, but I know it's a large cat. I'd rather fit smaller cats in and get more of the items I need put in the box, so the larger cats usually get left out, because it's hard to talk about that. It's hard to explain, like, no, I just need to say this word 5 times over because my brain needs that stimuli. So yeah, like, too many cats. And also I just really like cats.
I mean, who doesn't? I love how this could almost become also like an ID card for each brain, because obviously, how big is your verbal stims cat? Yours is big, mine could be small, someone else's could be medium-sized. It's interesting also to see how different will be the picture for different people. That's quite also fascinating.
For sure.
But I think it's a brilliant idea how you're presented. And again, how you manage to represent a concept that is so difficult to explain in such a visual, playful way that it's impossible not to understand it. Oh, now there's a lot of cats.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what it looks like if you try to put all the cats in. It's a mess. The big cats will hide it all.
The furry one, the very cute and furry one.
But yeah, and like it changes with social context. For example, if I'm with a group of other people who understand what verbal stims are, the big cat becomes much smaller because it's much easier to explain and put in the box when you don't have to take that step to explain it. But in general, it's usually a large cat because it's hard to explain. Same with executive dysfunction. It's hard to explain, like, I can't do this task, even though all the tools are in front of me, and it's so easy, and I could just do it. I can't do it. That's hard to explain sometimes. So, for me, it's a big cat. Usually.
Yeah, and the way I see it, we have different builds. At least I do. Obviously, if I'm at work, there are certain cats that are in the box because there's stuff that I need to be more aware of, and some other cats that are outside. If I'm with my friends chilling, then, of course, there's a different set of cats in the box, and maybe some other stuff that at work was important is out of the box. So the work cats and the fun cats, I don't know, there's like different builds in RPGs sort of thing.
What type of neurodivergence do you have? Build your cat box to find out. That sort of thing.
That's what I meant by ID card. It could be actually something like that. It's an introspective way to understand more about who you are. This is what it really could become, this game, and it's so fascinating. It's so fascinating, really.
Thank you. I've given all my thoughts on it, partly because it's very easy for me to be like, this is why I made this. But do you have any final thoughts on cats in the box? Oh. I'm sorry, there's a message from Lodolin. I'm just going to read it out. Honestly, I think it's awesome Walkyard's leading this jam. It shows grit, and it shows grit from all 30 of the participants who started on their game project, the ones who kept going, and all the ones who finished. All 30 of them showed grit. For sure. I definitely agree. Like, thank you for being here, genuinely. From the bottom of my heart, in any capacity, whether it was like you clicked the button to join and then forgot about it, to you clicked the button, joined, made a game, and are here today. Any capacity from there to there, or you joined the Discord just because you were curious. Thank you. That's what it's all about. And like, any capacity is a capacity. Showing that you're here in any capacity is wonderful. And a lot of people showed grit, as you said, Lodolane.
Again, +1 to all. I also want to take the chance to thank everyone. And to me, it takes real courage to be able to say these things, to just be openly talking about these things. The stuff you've opened up, you've talked about now. It's not something you typically talk about on a Twitch stream. It's something that typically stays in a very intimate sphere. And a lot of people will never talk about this stuff, will never be able to be comfortable enough to talk about this stuff. So to the 30 people that joined and to the ones that made the games, go all my admiration for wanting to tell their story and be brave enough to tell their story, which is absolutely fantastic. The foundation, Neurodiversity Foundation, has the mission of having every brain valued and celebrated. And this goes through awareness. This goes through people understanding what neurodiversity is, and that there are more than one way. There's more than one way for people to see the world. And none of them is right or wrong. They are just different. And understanding that difference is the key to the success of the foundation and really to a better society, to a more inclusive society. And games, I fully believe that games play a big part of it. Again, today we touched on so many topics. We touched on, talking, how people interact through words. We talked about psychotic episodes. We talked about psychosis episodes. We talked about ADHD. So we talked about so many themes, and we could have had something very archaic and something very academic, and maybe it wouldn't have stuck as strong as these games, because this game present themes in a way people can feel them. And what I loved about the previous event, the presentation that you had with Steve, is that actually you managed to also do that in a very simple way. Despite, that there weren't games there, you were telling a story, but the story was so relatable because it was so simple to understand. There were so many practical examples. There were many examples that were relatable to everyone, that made it immediately understandable to people. And these are the kind of ways the foundation wants to tell stories, for people to be able to understand them and no longer label certain things as weird or too different or fuck it, I don't understand it. As long as you want to play a game or listen to Steve and Ned, you're fine. You'll understand a lot more things. And the humans around you all of a sudden won't be such a mystery to decode. I think this is really where the value is in doing this, and I'm sure that this will not be the last effort that we will have on this matter.
For sure. Wonderful. Yeah. It's been a wonderful time. Thank you for joining us. And this is not the last you've heard from us. Let's normalize mental health, emotional intelligence, and neurodiversity. Yes, Ludland, I totally agree. That is such a important thing to talk about. And it's a part of the things I want to get into talking about more with the games I make. I have small ones on the burner right now, but I'm trying to lead up to larger projects that delve into that and delve into even personal experiences I've had with mental health. But the more we talk, the more people will hear us and the more people will listen. And that's where we start with this. And games are a wonderful way to start talking about it because it allows a person to experience a little bit of what you're trying to communicate. Yeah, I feel wonderful about this Pride Jam. It was great. Thank you for being here.
Thank you once again, everyone. Ned, I want to repeat how thanking you is also the most important thanks here, because you basically did this jam in 2 weeks. You made the itch pages, you designed all the graphics, you built the Discord channel, you made it go. You were a wonderful host for the weekend on Discord. You had some amazing ideas, and on top of that, because certainly you weren't busy anyway, you made a game. So big thanks to you. Big thanks to Caro for hosting the Neurodiversity Pride in Canada and allowing us to come in for this game jam. Stay tuned, a lot more is coming. And thanks again for joining the game jam, for joining these shows. And we'll see you very, very soon, I'm sure.
And if you want to keep updated with us, we are planning to send out stuff like feedback forums, and just in general, keep the Discord updated at the very least. We'll give you more ways to keep in contact with us in the future. But for the future, we are hoping to run this again next year, have another good time, and try to do a little bit more, because with what we were able to do with 2 weeks, imagine if we had a whole year to plan. Exciting stuff. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Fabio, very much. Although you give me a lot of credit, you also were the person going this has to be done, and making sure that there was an organizational chart that was very, very needed for me. So thank you, because you kept me on my toes in a good way. Alrighty. And I think that really concludes our Neurodiversity Pride Game Jam. Thank you very much for being here. I know I say that over and over again, and I hope you have a good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is for ya. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.